In the event that we wipe out the lines, the most hypnotizing star I acknowledge is the star that could be astonishing in our sky. It is this one Betelgeuse or Scarab Crush. It's a red supergiant star, and on the remote chance that you put it where the Sun is, it would extend to the orbit of Jupiter. It's enormous, entirely flighty, and going to detonate. It's not as clear as it seems. In the universe, these giant events, like the most absurdly dreaded enormous starbursts, could shake everything we see. Moreover, try not to see its center. In any case, Betelgeuse has been viewed as a sign, a red, very giant star that is ordinarily more significant than our Sun. Brian Cox and other space experts figure it could go supernova, which has made people alarmed about what will happen next. The James Webb Space Telescope is taking stunning photos of the star, raising the question of when Betelgeuse will become a supernova and how titanic an impact it will have on Earth. Let's figure out the star in the grand body Orion, which shines so brightly that even people from a long while ago have noticed it. The wonderful star Betelgeuse is located on the eastern shoulder of the constellation Orion. It is the second largest star in the constellation, and its name comes from this element, the beast's shoulder. It is possibly one of the most brilliant stars in the night sky. On top of being remarkably brilliant, the star is also an odd shade of red, which, as we will see, suggests trouble. We've had some tremendous experience with Betelgeuse for a long time. A Greek examiner named TMY also focused on it. Around that time, the primary thing individuals recognized about stars was their variety, and TMY said that it was a to alarm minimal creature juice orange in color. Researchers have been concentrating on the star much more intently lately, and now they have a brilliant idea of what makes it so curiously bright. One of these characteristics is that the star changes brightness a lot. With an apparent magnitude of 0.6, Betelgeuse is a variable star, which means that its brightness changes over time. Recently, specialists have discovered some new data about the star. In 2019, investigators initially saw that Betelgeuse was acting peculiarly. Despite the fact that it didn't thoroughly stop sparkling, it wasn't the same. It had become substantially less bright, shining at a degree of around 1.6. Experts rapidly began to investigate why they were seeing the 10th most brilliant star above in this whimsical way. Investigators offered an astonishing explanation based on their research, which revealed bizarre signs from the star. According to their discoveries, Betelgeuse could go supernova at any second. Brian Cox, an eminent researcher, shared this remarkably perilous explanation. As a prominent professor of particle physics at the University of Manchester School of Physics and Cosmology, you shouldn't take his perspective as a joke. He also has a science show, writes popular science books, and is the Royal Society Professor for Public Engagement with Science. Brian Cox says that Betelgeuse seems to be a ticking delayed bomb, since it could go off without advance notice. To deteriorate the situation, the James Webb Space Telescope has shown an epic amount of proof to back up this explanation. What unconventional signs has Betelgeuse given that have caused so much trouble in space science? With the new data about Betelgeuse, the star has been named a supernova candidate. Although researchers are still uncertain when it will detonate, the fact that terrifying Betelgeuse is almost twice the mass of the Sun is one explanation for this categorization. A star, as they say, should be several times the mass of the Sun to be known as a supernova. Things get really interesting, however, because examiners have utilized various tools to investigate Betelgeuse. For instance, the James Webb Space Telescope and the Laser Interferometer Gravitational Wave Observatory have been used to see what's going on in space around Betelgeuse. What they found is still a mystery. It was born on August 31st, a really long time ago. Around that time, the star Betelgeuse obviously offered strange hints that made its future unclear. What did they find? Well, they could get curious light waves coming from the star or over Betelgeuse, which is extremely curious. However, it wasn't the only thing specialists saw from the star. This takes us back to the possibility that Betelgeuse is a star whose brightness changes from time to time. It was said that terrifying Betelgeuse darkened down at regular intervals and had dark spots similar to our Sun today. However, the conditions are different. It changes from bright to dim twice as quickly as it used to, which is another surprising sign that Betelgeuse is back. Researchers found that the star's dimming cycle had hit a band of brightness of plus 1.61 in February 2021. This was not long after the enormous darkening event. Recall how the star appeared to dim in a strange way in 2019. That's because it's usually known as the Great Dimming. We could see that the Great Dimming was the beginning of Betelgeuse's abnormal behavior, which made many people worry that Betelgeuse was going to detonate. The range of dimming was 1.2 between 2019 and 2020, and the most reduced level of dimming ever recorded was in 2019. So specialists were sure that dreadful Betelgeuse would go supernova in the next 100,000 years because of the outstanding dimming. There is a segment happening in the universe, so this is really startling. Researchers rapidly adjusted their viewpoints, however, when they saw what happened next. Betelgeuse got brighter again after the unimaginable darkening and changed into something considerably more striking. Astrophysicist Andrea Dupree at the Harvard-Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics says that the star is now 150% more brilliant than normal, making it the seventh brightest star above. Researchers were terrified when they saw a red glow in the southern part of the sky. Today, it still gets more interesting because this has led to various considerations about what caused the great dimming. First, it's important to note that not all stars have the red glow of Betelgeuse. The red glow of Betelgeuse means that it's a red supergiant star, which is the last stage of a star's life and death. The red glow, on the other hand, is caused by a surface temperature of around 3,500 K, which is much cooler than the outer layer of the Sun, about 5,500 K. Since Betelgeuse is cooler than our Sun, it radiates less energy per unit of surface area, despite the fact that it is more massive and will detonate. A colossal red supergiant like Betelgeuse would require a mass of something like 10 times that of the Sun to reach this state. Furthermore, Betelgeuse is 10 to 20 times more massive and has a size 1,000 times bigger than the Sun. It is not only incredibly massive but also unstable. In addition, Betelgeuse is quite close to Earth in astronomical terms. It is located about 642.5 light-years away in the Orion constellation. That might sound far, but on a cosmic scale it's relatively near. It's close enough that when it explodes, the resulting light show could be visible during the daytime for weeks or even months. One theory that emerged is that Betelgeuse ejected a large cloud of gas and dust that temporarily blocked part of its light from reaching Earth. A sort of burp or massive stellar cough, if you will. Observations from the Hubble Space Telescope and other instruments seem to support this idea. A huge surface mass ejection likely occurred, much more massive than anything our Sun produces. This ejection of material cooled and condensed into dust, which then obscured some of the light. The James Webb Space Telescope has added further confirmation by detecting infrared signatures consistent with warm dust near the star residue from that enormous event. Many astronomers think at least not immediately. While the star is in its final evolutionary phase, the exact timing of a supernova explosion is incredibly difficult to predict. It could happen tomorrow, or it could take another 100,000 years. Stars like Betelgeuse burn through their fuel in erratic bursts and shifts. It may go through several more cycles of mass ejection and variability before the inevitable collapse. When Betelgeuse goes supernova, it will release an enormous amount of energy, enough to briefly outshine the Moon and even rival the brightness of the Sun in the night sky. It will not pose a danger to life on Earth since it's too far away for the radiation or shock waves to affect us significantly. The explosion will produce a Type II supernova caused when the core of a massive star collapses under gravity after it runs out of nuclear fuel. This collapse will trigger an immense outward blast, expelling the outer layers of the star into space and leaving behind either a neutron star or a black hole. It will also enrich the surrounding space with heavy elements, iron, oxygen, carbon materials that eventually become the building blocks of planets and life. For now, astronomers continue to monitor Betelgeuse closely using a variety of telescopes across different wavelengths from visible light to infrared to X-rays. Its behavior remains unpredictable, but that's part of what makes it so fascinating.